At this point, we've discussed several major regulatory topics in relation to Spain's regulated iGaming market. But we haven't yet discussed the market itself, specifically revenues, growth, advertising spend, and other such topics. Here to remedy the situation is Mauro the Fabritiis, founder of MDF Partners. Mauro, I saw you a second ago. Welcome back.
Thank you, Willem. So hi everyone again. So we will move from words to numbers. I'm sure the majority of you is passionate about numbers, so we will have a look to the Spanish market from a number perspective and see what concepts we can find out from relevant figures. First of all, as a general introduction, a big picture on the worldwide market. What we see right now, in looking at data from 2016 to 2023, is that the overall market has grown up, and we are now at 462 billion euro. And one interesting thing is that after COVID, if we compare 2019 with 2023, the incidence of online has doubled. So from 9.7% on the total market to 20%. This is the current, internationally speaking, incidence of online. If we deep dive the global market and we look at the online market, you can see that the market has been growing with a different speed if we split the period 2016-2019 from the period 2020-2023. It means that in the COVID period, so in essentially during 2020-2021, the increase in terms of speed of the online was higher than the past, and it has provoked the increasing of incidence of online in general. We saw in the previous slide, and we have to take also into account that the big increase of online was also pushed by the regulation of US during this period. In terms of mix, you can see that betting is the relevant segment ever, but casino is increasing from year to year and now represent the 27% of the international market. Let's go now to look at the COVID effect comparing 2019 to 2023 for some relevant jurisdictions: Portugal, France, Spain, UK, and Italy. What we see here is that the incidence of, generally speaking, of online on the total market has increased for all the markets, including Spain. But there is one point to be noticed, that in Spain, the incidence of online on the total market is 13%, that it's by far the lowest of the selected countries. And so our guess, my personal opinion, is that there is still room for the Spanish market to grow and be aligned to the average standard. That if we look at the final point, could be UK in the long term, but even Italy, it's 21%, and France is 33%. With regard to retail, what happened is that because of COVID, retail business goes down because of the closure of the shops that affected many countries. But then, since 2022, there has been a back to retail effect, and so the retail recover in a certain way the business of 2019. Just have a look here to the online trend of the relevant countries we look at before, including also Denmark here. What we can figure out is that all the countries have been growing in terms of online with different speed. and Portugal, for example, and France growing, Spain and France with less growth compared to other countries, and even Denmark and UK growing, but with lower numbers than other countries. But in the COVID period, all the countries in terms of online were boosted, and the figures of online were boosted during the COVID period. There is one peculiar thing we should take care of, that is that Spain has not been growing with the same trend as other countries in the COVID period, and we will try to figure out the reasons why it has happened. A deep dive also on the ARPU, so the average revenue per user for the online, and the active user per year. Here we compared 3 different countries, France, Italy, and Spain, and it's quite evident that in all the countries the average spending per user increased in a relevant way. But what happened is that, differently from Italy and France, where apart from the average spending, also the number of active users increased, let's say that doubled in both countries. In Spain, the number of active users increased in the period from 2016 to 2023, but in a moderate way, while the average spending per user doubled, more than doubled, from 334 to more than 700. Just to look a comparison of the relevant countries at a glance, differently from the past charts, we are comparing here only the betting, casino, poker, and bingo industry, so lotteries are not included in this chart. But let's look at the main figures. Spain has been growing, and now it's around 1.2 billion in terms of GGR, and it's after UK, France, and Italy and France. The percentage of online, that it's more than 30% for France, Portugal, and UK, and 21% for Italy. It's 13% for Spain. This is a point of attention. And even in Spain, the GGR per capita is the lowest within the countries selected. In terms of operators, Spain has 77 operators active compared to 85 of Italy, and with less operator in France and Portugal, and with a much higher number in UK. But it's not only important the number of operators, because it's important to look at the number of brands. Let's compare, for example, Spain and Italy, where the number of license is similar, but Spain has around 80 brands compared to more than 200 brands in Italy. Just to remember the ancient times, let's look how we reached the current situation in Spain. So Spain goes through 3 different tenders. The first tender in 2012 with the kickoff of the market with 53 licensed operators. Then it was launched a second tender introducing slots and betting exchange in 2014, and the third tender for the poker liquidity sharing with plus 32 operators. So going back to the numbers I've been speaking before, right now in Spain we have 77 operators, 77 licenses active, 45 betting licenses, and 61 casino licenses. Let's have a deep dive to the online gaming market in Spain. And I want to try to find an explanation of the reason why, as I mentioned at the beginning, in 2020 and 2021, the speed of the growth of online was not aligned to the other markets in Europe and outside Europe. Look at these years. In 2020, if I remember well, in March, some measures, some restrictions were applied during COVID period to limit the exposure to advertising. And then in 2021, the royal decree came into force. So these two facts could be the explanation why the boost of the online during the COVID period was not so high like the one in other countries. For example, in Italy, that is the most meaningful example. So in a certain way, the restrictions were like a chain for the numbers to grow, but at the same time, the closure of the shop incentivizes the online. But let's say the sleeping effect during 2020 to 2021 was recovered afterwards, and we see that the market compared to 2019 grows around 65%, with a big push of casino, more than 100%, followed by betting. Let's have a deep dive also in terms of new customer in the market and old customer. What happened is that the number of customers grows up from 2019 to 2023, moving from 1,366 to 1,600 and more. What about the different products? The biggest growth has been in casino, for sure, that moved in terms of GGR and also in terms of correspondent customers. But even betting, that is still the relevant product, grows significantly. Let's look at the same picture we analyzed for the worldwide market for Spain. What happens is that the total ARPU, as I said, doubled in the period. And this is the result of different behaviors in terms of gaming. And casino is the one that moved from around 300 euros average spending to more than 700 euro per customer, and also increased in terms of active user, quite doubling the number of active users. Is not the same for poker, bingo, that are, let's say, more sleeping products, and betting has been increasing with a strange curve during the COVID period. A focus on the different products. Sport betting, constantly growing apart from the 2020-2021, most likely due to the restriction, as we said. But it's important to look at the incidence of live betting on the total of betting. That is a trend that you can find, generally speaking, worldwide. And the live betting incidence reached 55% of the total, with a payout that overcomes 95%, due also to the incidence of live betting. A deep dive also on the casino. Casino is a segment is driven by slots and live roulette that have been increasing with a high percentage, with high CAGR during the period pre-COVID and post-COVID. Different the situation for poker, that apart from a positive trend during the COVID period, is in a stagnation or a moderate growth during the following years. Making a recap of the drivers of this, one of the relevant drivers of the growth, the advertising and the promotions, and all the key drivers, including affiliates and sponsorship. We are trying to figure out here which has been the trend of the marketing mix that normally operators use to develop their business in the market, how this mix has been developing since 2016 to 2023. What you see is that because of the restrictions, of course, the advertising incidence has gone down, and also the sponsorship part. But the promotions were on average the incidence of bonus is the highest, is the one continuing to grow, that now is representing the 50% of the total spending on promotional and advertising activity. And the incident, this is a relevant KPI for the gaming industry. The incidence of bonus in Spain is right now 14% of GGR. That it's a KPI that it's not the same for other countries, but close to other countries' experience. The question now is, we have some question mark in the industry. What will come in the next months with regard to the bonus, and which kind of regulatory constraints or regulatory actions the politics will fuel, and which are the next steps. So it's a situation where, from an operator perspective, there is a wait-and-see scenario where, how was commented during the panel this morning, the market needs to adapt the way they position with their offer. And so we have tried here to figure out which could be the expected trend of the industry given the current scenario. So the first point is that the regulatory restrictions on gaming advertising are a fact, and maybe something could improve, but we cannot think to come back to the situation of 2004 or 2005. Operators needs to adapt their offer, and really important point, the customers needs to understand how the offer change to stay in their comfort zone and not to be attracted by illegal or irregular offer. So it's in order to improve the channelization effort, operators should be able to communicate in the proper way the changes of the offer to the customer in order to increase the customer or make it stable, the customer satisfaction. To mitigate the risk of on the channelization effort, operators should fine-tune continuously their promotional strategy and their promotional actions, and a data-driven approach is essential on our point of view with regard to the way the operators will continue during the following years. I stop here the presentation, but I'm quite open to any question, doubt regarding numbers and other subjects. Thank you, all of you.
And thank you, Mauro. So we saw some questions coming in the slider. I think we have time for one, at least. So, Mauro, do you think self-regulation could be the solution to avoid so conservative approaches from regulators? It's a bit outside the numbers context, but it has an impact, of course.
Yeah, self-regulation for sure could help, but it's not the solution. It's not enough to avoid, let's say, the incidence of the politics in the industry and the need of actions that should be defined by law. But for sure, it helps.
Thank you. Not sure if there's a second question in Slido. If not, is there maybe a question from the room? A lot of data, information from Mauro. Ask him the question you always wanted to have. Is there a second question on Slido? Jeroen? 1 second. Earlier, Mauro, you mentioned the return of welcome bonuses. Any other insights on recent changes in the marketing spend?
No, apart from welcome, the situation is the one discussed in the morning. So also the famous people could be used. The restriction on social are not banned anymore. So these are the relevant measures. If everything will be confirmed, of course, as we saw in the last chart, the incidence of promotions compared to the other items of the spending should be quite stable. The more the advertising will be restricted, the more specific actions, like, for example, affiliation, will have an higher incidence on the mix. For example, if you compare a regulated market with a .com or green market, you see that the advertising and promotional spending is concentrated in affiliation, because there are no other ways to address to the customer the offer.
Let's see how this will develop in the next 12 months, and I guess we can speak about it next year. Mauro, thank you very much for sharing your insights. Thank you very much.
Thank you, William. Thank you, all of you.